We'd like to welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. Attorney extraordinaire, Mr. Warren Brown, how are you, sir?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good. We haven't caught up with you in a while. I guess first thing in order is to congratulate you on picking the winning candidate for state's attorney for Baltimore City, Mr. Greg Bernstein.
Well, I think it was a choice of the electorate that will fare well for the public at large, especially considering the issues of public safety. I know it is difficult at times for people to get used to a change and are somewhat hypercritical of that change initially. But after emotions settle and a person's allowed some room to do what they were chosen or elected or appointed to do, then different analysis of that individual is usually had, and so it's a good thing.
You were heard on WOLB cautioning attorney J. Wendell Gordon as it relates to, I guess, accusations, if you will, regarding the Baltimore City State's attorney and his dropping of first-degree assault charges in the Wordishing case.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the old bull, counseling the young bull about walking down slowly, approaching this pasture of cows. It wasn't being critical of him at all. It's just that I understand his objective, what he's trying to get to, and from my perspective, having been around a while, I just believe that he can employ a better approach to meet that objective. I hail his zeal and his sincerity. Sometimes when we get emotionally caught up in something, though, we fail to look at it from a logical and a logistic point of view. I just believe that he can get his result by taking a little different approach. But his goal, what he's trying to do, is laudable. He's a good lawyer. He's a warrior lawyer. He's a fighter, and we need folk out here. Listen, we don't need everybody to be of the same ilk. We need to be spread all out, and so that we have our hands in a lot of different situations, and that we aren't all bunched together.
Counselor, you're African American, you're male. Here in this country, the United States of America, 44% of America's prison population is just like you, black and male. Is it understandable the concerns and issues raised by those who have been otherwise critical of the state's attorney of Baltimore City?
Absolutely. Just as the Jewish community is particularly sensitive about attacks because of their history of pogroms and persecutions and concentration camps, so too are black folk particularly sensitive about law enforcement. Listen, since the abolition of slavery, the police forces have been used as the modern day overseers. They run the plantation, so to speak. And so we're always suspicious of law enforcement, and especially where you have a white person that is heading any particular component of law enforcement.
Well, not just heading the state's attorney's office, but also the Baltimore City Police Department.
Right.
And I guess even on that note, he's married to Cheryl Goldstein, who is chair of the city's criminal justice
Absolutely.
committee.
Now, in that regard, though, that triumvirate, that trio of individuals, if you've got those three entities working together, there is a lot of good that can come out of that. Trust me. With regard to all three, actually, because they're all subject to the voters. The commissioner, Cheryl Goldstein, they essentially work for the mayor. So if there's a failing with those two individuals, the mayor is going to have to pay the price for that. And the same with Mr. Bernstein. If there's a problem there, he's going to have to pay the price at the polls in the next election. But one thing that must not be lost sight of, and that is that we, for reasons that oftentimes have nothing to do with our character, we become the victims of, in a greater percentage, of the violent crime that is committed. And so we've got to get past the emotional trouble of having someone other than an African American overtop the criminal justice system and get to the point where we just have, I don't care who they are, gender or color, but if they can reduce the amount of violence that black folk especially are subjected to, that's what's most important to me. It should be most important to everybody.
Most recently in the news, Channel 11, WBAL TV 11, reported that Baltimore has some 631 police officers per 100,000 citizens, higher than any other city of its size in the country.
Yeah.
But yet crime is still high, and that 631, mind you, is larger than the number of police officers in cities that have more crime than Baltimore.
I was surprised to read that, and I'm sure there are a lot of various dynamics associated, with all of that. But I think that it is important to study that, because maybe what we're doing is inefficient. Maybe we can do better with less. And of course, where there are less, then there's less monies that are spent on policing that can be moved into other areas. And so I was quite surprised to read that, as I think most people were, and it should lend to some study to see if we can make it with less, if we can be safer with less, because I'm certain that we would all enjoy being safer and using the dollars that are spent on too many police in other areas.
Any final thoughts, Counselor?
No, I just except to say that I'm buoyed and very proud, made proud by the zeal of individuals like yourself, my brother Darren Muhammad. I love that brother. That's right. That's from Doo Doo Brown, Darren, and J. Wendell Gordon. I mean, listen, man, we are a strong race of people. We were brought here. And made to labor under terrible circumstances, and we've survived. I mean, it's only been the last 50 years since the Civil Rights Act in the 60s that we have been able to enjoy the full panoply of rights. And look what we've done in 40 or 50 years. There were no black mayors in 40 years ago, 50 years ago, let alone...
But people do raise the question, just being a black mayor isn't enough here in the city of Baltimore. Majority black city, yeah. I hear a lot of business people wondering what the minority business agenda is.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that we have sometimes been sidetracked and sent down the wrong road in terms of our zeal and our willingness to get out there and raise hell, because the economy, the economics, I mean, there are contracts that the state is letting to private companies for hundreds of millions of dollars that don't involve any black participation.
Jolivet brought up the 400 plus million Motorola,
and that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. And so I think we need listen. I think we need an army, a core of people to focus on that. They make sure that we're getting our fair share. Just as we might monitor police agencies, we might monitor other entities, rec centers. We need a core of individuals to monitor where these dollars are going, because that's our money. That's our money. And listen, if money talks. If we have the money, if we have an economic strength behind us, then we can get what we want. We don't have to, rely on politicians, and that's what we do. Black folk rely on our assemblymen, our councilmen, our delegates, and let's be real. Those folks got their asses up, their rear ends, their faces up the rear ends of people like the governor and the like. They can't rely on them to bring home the bacon. We've got to do that ourselves.
Good deal. Thank you, Counselor Extraordinaire, Attorney Warren Brown. Keep watching BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.